Welcome to Ear for Fear. This is Rick, and this is the podcast that talks about scary movies or movies trying to be scary. Today, we are going to be talking 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street. We have Darren Lindsay back. Thanks for coming on out again, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. You suggested this one.
Not going to miss Nightmare on Elm Street.
No, I mean, we got to do Nightmare on Elm Street. It's a classic. Like I've said in the past, I try to stay away from the classics, but ultimately we're going to talk about them. And today we're going to be doing this one. Before you and I jump into it, talk about it, let's do a quick rundown, even though I think most people know what this is about. But if for some crazy reason there's no one out there that maybe they haven't seen this, let's do just a real quick rundown. The monstrous spirit of a slain child murderer seeks revenge by invading the dreams of teenagers whose parents were responsible for his untimely death. All right, man. So 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Before we jump into it, I think we forgot to do this on the previous episode. There's going to be spoilers. So if you've been under a rock for the last 36 years, does that sound about right? 36 years ago?
Yeah. About that, 1984.
Yeah, 36 years. Damn.
Yeah.
I remember when this came out. We're really old. We've said this before. We keep reiterating this. We're super old.
So now we are going to go a little bit different. We're not going to go scene by scene.
No, we're not going to do that because, I mean, the reality is there's unfortunately, there's a million podcasts out there, and I'm sure most of them have talked about Elm Street. This is why I always kind of, I don't know if I want to do that. Because, everyone else has done it. But, I mean, it doesn't change that this is a classic.
Oh, yeah.
It's still a really good movie. I could argue you got to throw it in the top 10 somewhere. It just depends, So I say, you wanted to do it. I said, let's do it. So here we are. We're not going to go the standard. We're going to talk about stuff that we liked, stuff that we didn't like.
Yep.
Maybe, I don't know about you. I caught a few things rewatching this last night that I hadn't caught before.
Okay.
I don't know if maybe you had a similar experience. Maybe it's something that just maybe you just didn't realize.
Yeah, while we're talking, throw them out there. And if I had caught it at some point, I'll confirm that. If not, we can talk about that.
No, nothing major, just a few things. But I mean, again, we know this is a Wes Craven. Wes Craven directed this. Let's throw out the main characters really fast, just in case. We got, Heather Langenkamp is Nancy.
Yep.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
We can't forget Johnny Depp, folks, because I don't know if this was his first major film, but it's the first time
Seemed like it to me.
It seemed like it to me.
Yeah.
Robert Englund, which I've met, very nice gentleman. I sat in on a panel. And I'm sure Robert Englund has done a bazillion of these panels and has probably been asked the same question a million times. And when I sat on this, I was listening to the questions and I'm like thinking, yeah, he's been asked this, but the nicest man. And he tells stories and you're engaged. And I loved it because he's probably been asked these things so many times.
But he still went at it at the same patience level, same engagement.
Yes, he's very genuine, and he engages with the fan or the person that's asking the question. And I love that because I've met my fair share of horror icons and people that maybe are not an icon that have been in horror movies, and some of them are assholes. I'm not going to mention any of them. Some are great. Robert Englund was great.
Yep.
So I just want to throw that out there. Anyone out there who has met him, awesome guy. So anyways,
I went onto his website, and he will autograph stuff, like photos of Freddie, that's on his site that you can purchase, and he'll autograph it for you. He'll put a little quote or whatever you want him to say, and for like a little bit more, he'll take a picture of him holding, and so I went that route and opted for the picture of him, signing it for me.
Yeah.
And he's like sitting on his bed in his bedroom. And he's holding it up, and it's got like the little quote and everything, and he's got this like look, and it's, and I just thought it was really cool. I wish more of these people would do something like that.
Yeah. A lot of people don't, a lot of them don't do that.
Yeah.
He's great, man. I remember meeting him at some con, here in, I think it was in Sacramento. And I waited in line. It wasn't a long line, and it didn't matter the length of the line. I was going to meet Robert Englund.
Yeah.
Because I had met a lot of other people. I had met him. And I waited in line, and I got to him, and we chatted a little bit, and he was sitting there drinking wine, had a glass of wine right next to him.
Yeah.
Just chilled out and just relaxed, and just you could approach him in any way you wanted to. You could chat with him, and I like that. Again, I've met people that aren't like that, and I would never wait in a line and pay to see them or have them sign anything. Look, with me, and this, man, you rubbed me wrong once. See you later, man. I'm good.
Yeah.
But him all day long, man.
Yeah.
And the stories he had to tell. He was roommates with Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. Yeah. I know this story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just thought it was, and he's sitting there telling the story. I didn't know this. And I'm like, they were roommates, and he auditioned for Luke Skywalker, and he comes back to his apartment, and he
suggested to Mark Hamill
dude, there's this movie, you'd be perfect for it.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yep.
That's pretty damn cool story.
Yeah.
But anyways,
totally.
Anyways, I think we probably talked too long about Robert Englund. But let's see. John Saxon is the dad, or Lieutenant Thompson.
Yeah.
Always loved John Saxon. Marge is the mom. Tina, Amanda Weiss.
Yeah.
She was supposed to be here in Sacramento, of course, and the pandemic hit, and everything was postponed.
And she didn't have a huge role in the movie in terms of total screen time, but I mean, what she did have was...
She's great. I always liked her. Yeah. I liked her in Fast Times. I liked her in Better Off Dead, which is probably my favorite 80s comedy. Mm-hmm. She's really good. Rod, and he
was appropriately douchebaggy.
Yeah. I mean, the only other movie I ever saw him in was a mid-80s comedy called Wildcats with Goldie Hawn. It's a football movie, which also has Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. It's actually a pretty good movie. Other than that, I don't remember ever seeing him in anything else. And I'm sure he's done plenty of other things.
Yeah.
Going back to what I said earlier, what I never caught, I knew she was in this movie, which is Lynn Shay. She's in the Insidious franchise.
Which one is she again?
Lynn Shay. She's older now, but she's the one that the medium that does in the Insidious movies. She's the one
she's the teacher.
The further. She plays the teacher in this.
Yes.
I knew she was in it.
Yes.
What I didn't realize is that she's the younger sister of Robert Shay, who's the founder of New Line Cinema.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I knew the name. I just didn't put two and two together.
Yeah.
But I remember her being in it.
No, I mean, I didn't watch I didn't watch this last night or anything in preparation for, but the last time I saw it was probably a month ago.
Yeah.
I had noticed that. I'm like, oh yeah, look, Insidious medium.
Yeah. And I remember her being in it. I know it was a small part, but I remember her being in it. And I think I'd read like Wes Craven through his, like, I don't know, some family member who was like the nurse, inside one of the scenes. I don't know, man.
Where's your past?
I love that is such an iconic scene.
I know.
And I never get tired of it. I love this scene. It's It's awesome. What I will tell you, okay, so again, we're not going to go scene by scene. We don't need to. Let's go over some stuff that we liked,
Okay.
some stuff that we didn't like that I've always had a problem with, and I'm hoping you're on the same.
So first out of the gate, I remember seeing this movie when I was a teenager. I'm going to say 15, maybe.
Yeah, because
1984.
You were born in 69?
69, yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right, yeah.
I was over at a friend's house, and, of course, that was VHS.
Yeah.
And the second that movie started, like after that New Line Cinema thing, that little effect, and they go right into the boiler room, and it's like all that like creepy ambient music going on, and all you hear is Freddy Krueger all as he's like creating his glove, and it's gritty.
Yes.
And it's just, it just pulled me in. And then the last thing when he makes the glove, he finishes it, and he does the thing with his hand where he and then they got that sound that, and I was like, oh God, this is good.
I'm in for a ride on this one.
It scared the crap out of me.
I think the first time I saw it, I didn't see it in the theater. It was on HBO.
Oh, interesting.
Watching it on HBO. And after part one, everything else I saw in the theater. But the first time I'm like, what is this? Because 84, I'm probably 12. No, 84, I'm 12. I'm 12. I'm 12 years old. So at this time, I'm into horror movies, but I'm not enough. It's not like nowadays, everything you can hop on your phone, computer, whatever. It's there.
Yeah.
I think I saw it on HBO, man, and it was like, damn, and it scared me.
Fuck yeah,
it's a scary movie.
It is.
Nowadays we've seen so many of them, and there's still stuff that scares me. That some of the jump stuff, just some of the stuff, just in general. But rewatching this last night, what I love about this movie is, and I'm hoping you can jump in, and maybe if I don't say it right, the dirtiness. You said gritty, grit, the dirtiness and almost sliminess of this movie, because what people seem to forget is he was a child murderer.
Yeah.
As these movies went along and they became more popular, they glamorized Freddy.
Yeah,
you would find him in the Toys R Us's of the world and the Targets and all these places. I'm like, people, you're selling stuff, and he is a child murderer. With this first film, it really feels dirty, and everything about it is so raw, and that's what I really liked. To his makeup, because as the movies progressed, they changed his makeup, but this was it. It felt, I don't know if this is the right word, but his makeup felt wet, and it felt burnt and gross and just ugh,
To me, the entirety of the first movie, the entirety of it to me felt so much more weighty and so much more gritty and dirty and nasty, and and it's what I love the most about it. Now, you and I have had conversations over the years on this, and I know there's a number of them after, like sequels after, and some of them I agree with you, that I do like I think it was part 3 or whatever.
Part 3 is my favorite.
Yeah. So there are sequels that I also like, but for me, what they seem to do after the first one, they started to, like you said, a little bit sensationalize or glamorized Freddy Krueger, but they started to give him this ridiculous sense of humor that the more and more these sequels progressed, the less and less I really kind of liked that aspect. It was like he did in the first one, he did have some lines here and there. But the difference to me between the lines that he would say in the first one versus the sequels, the first one, they were delivered in an extremely scary, creepy, unsettling way. And as the sequels progressed, they became just stupid puns.
Yeah, they did.
You know, and it just became comedic to me. And it just lost that creep factor that the first one brings.
No, definitely. And I would agree with you. You know, everyone craps on part 2 and I'll crap on it as well. It's not a good movie. There are stuff in part 2 that is really good. The makeup, the phenomenal in it. And there's some cool special effects in it. But as a whole, it's bad. So for the most time, I usually just try to skip over part 2 and I go to part 3.
Yeah.
Part 3 is still, the special effects in this are phenomenal. I saw this in the theater, I think 2 or 3 times, and I was just blown away by what they did with special effects in part 3. But you know, it's so fun for me. And as you know, I love fun movies and where it's not too serious and there's some humor and it's some still really cool special effects and good acting. And you got this with part 3. So that's why I always say, just from an entertainment standpoint, part 3 does it for me.
Sure.
If we were to get rid of every sequel for Elm Street, you don't need any other sequels. The first one is a great standalone movie, man.
It should have really just been left there.
But, you know, we know when it comes to money and it's oh, damn. Well,
that was Wes Craven's actual whole idea. He didn't expect this to go any further than that. You know, that was the production house or whatever, or the producer.
Well, let's be real. If you've ever sat down and watched, God damn it, I don't know if it's Never Sleep Again.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is the documentary. This was all about money. Robert Shea was all about cranking these things out to.
He saw a franchise.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, man. If I was in his shoes, I probably would have did the same damn thing. You know.
Yeah.
Look, there's art and then there's money, and it's like if I'm starting up a studio, and ultimately I gotta make money, and if Freddie is the meal ticket, so I can make other movies.
Well, it's just too bad they couldn't have just continued to infuse that same scary grit. Those movies after the first one, those movies didn't scare me anymore.
No, man. Oh my gosh. I was watching recently. It was on TV, part 5. What a piece of shit this is, man. I remember when it came out, I wanted to, I got to tell this quick story. I was working at the movie theater at the time when Dream Child came out, because I believe part 5 is Dream Child.
Yeah.
I think I was still at the movie theater, and it wasn't playing at our theater. It was playing like I worked for at the time. It was like Century Syufy. Since then, it's changed hands, and our competitor was It was UA, and they were down the street. And so what we would do is sometimes we would get with employees and we would trade up passes, and I wanted to see this Dream Child because I was huge. Freddie was always my favorite.
Yeah.
And I love Chucky. I love the idea of Chucky, especially from a marketing standpoint. If you're to remove everything else from a marketing standpoint, I love Chucky, what they've done with this little doll.
I'm such an anomalous horror movie fan. I hate Chucky.
Do you?
I can't stand those movies.
They're not scary. They're not scary, but just the idea of Chucky is so cool, man. I mean, especially, like I said, from a marketing standpoint, to sell this little doll that's not real. It's just, to me, it's brilliant. But I went into Dream Child and I did something bad. I think I snuck into the movie. I don't know how I got in, but I snuck in because, when you work for a movie theater, all the tricks to get in and out and what to do.
Listen, you were young, man.
I was young. I was stupid.
You're going to cut corners.
I did. And I snuck in and I got caught and I got kicked out.
You got caught.
I got caught during, And so I was booted out, which is fine because I kicked out plenty of people at the theater I worked out. We used to keep track of how many people we'd kick out. We'd have like little nicknames.
That's hilarious.
I know none of this is really relevant, but so then when I finally got a chance to see it at another theater, I'm like, what the hell? It was so bad. The makeup was horrible. Horrible. The acting was terrible. It was just a shitty movie. Anyways, that was part 5.
Yeah.
That was my experience with part 5. But again, getting back to it, I agree, man. I mean, they made him so, marketable. They were selling a lot of merchandise and it lost what part 1 did.
Seriously, it's like Now I know that this is probably going to shit on the one that you like the most, because I think that's what this scene is from.
Mm-hmm.
The pepperoni pizza.
No, that's part 4.
That's part 4. Okay.
Yeah, I have a problem with that one too.
And it's like, or like the, sweet, fresh meat, kind of stuff.
Yeah, part 4.
Yeah. It just, the more and more it went, they just turned him into a comedic pun factory. And it lost it for me. And that's why this first one always is going to be my go-to. When I think of A Nightmare on Elm Street, I don't consider really the others. To me, the first one is it. Everything needed to be told in that movie.
It did.
Nothing else needed to be expanded upon.
No,
they did a brilliant job.
Yep.
Describing everything. And I could walk away from that going,
absolutely, man. If we had never had a sequel, we would have been cool with it.
Granted, of course, at the end, and that's probably that guy involvement in wanting to have a franchise going.
Robert Shea,
drag the mom through the little tiny
dude. That was we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Like in every single movie we can find stuff that bothers us, and then the fact that we've rewatched these things so many times, we are going to pick up on stuff. And now that we're doing a podcast, we're going to almost overanalyze it, and then it's like,
so let's do this.
Okay,
let's go ahead and talk about what we hate.
First? Okay.
Yeah, no, so that we end on a good.
Okay, we could do that.
So go ahead, man. I want to hear what you have to say.
There's a few things that I can't stand. First off, the acting is horrible in this.
Okay.
Minus John Saxon, who is great.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp is young. And there is some stuff in here, some dialogue that, oh my God, Amanda Weiss is good. I love her. I love John Saxon. Other than that, dude, Heather Langenkamp is bad. And I'm sorry, Heather, she's horrible in this. And I don't know if this was her first film or whatever this, she's terrible.
She was stiff. Her lines came across very not natural.
No. The mother, Marge, I don't remember her. The actress's name was, I'm sorry, just so fucking bad. Like, I had a hard time.
Not to mention just the character itself.
Just the character herself.
I couldn't stand her. Yeah.
She's not good. Rod's okay from what he is. I'm fine with him. Yeah. Because again, I saw him in another movie. He was the same guy.
Up yours with a twirling lawnmower.
Yeah. This is just bad. Oh my God, dude. Like the part with Johnny Depp where he's like, who's ever out there, I'm going to put your lights out.
Kitty,
I'm like,
kitty.
Yeah,
chow, chow, chow.
Really, man. Yeah, dude. And then later on in the film where Nancy's talking to me, he's like, I'm like, dude, this is just, oh my, I almost cringe because it's so bad.
It is.
But, Nancy and the mom are really, really bad. Really bad.
Yeah.
Look, man, Robert Englund's phenomenal. John Saxon is good. And hell, I even go as far as to say Lynn Shay, the teacher, is okay. Because, I mean, we know she's done a ton of stuff since. And Amanda Weiss is good. Dude, other than that, I'm like, oh my God.
With names. Tina, who was that actor?
Yep, Amanda Weiss.
She's
good.
Weiss. Yeah.
She's really good. I like her.
Yeah.
I liked her in all the other movies, in Fast Times. I liked her in Better Off Dead.
Because I felt that her lines, I felt she delivered them.
She was really, dude, I was watching this last night going, I almost wish they would have rotated it and had Nancy die off first. Yeah. And then, because she was really solid. And I think 84, Better Off Dead, I think was 85. So I don't know. She's really good. Yeah. But Amanda Weiss has done a ton of stuff. And I always felt, even Heather Langenkamp in part 3, her acting sucked.
Yeah.
It wasn't like she got better. I'm sorry. I hate to be like an ass, but yeah, that was one of my main, okay. That and the other thing that's always bothered me is the booby trap scene. Okay, man. Well, so Dad, hey, I'm going to get this guy and come back in 20 minutes. And in the 20-minute span, she set up all these fucking booby traps and then tucked her mom into bed and still had 10 minutes to spare. That's my fucking problem with this. And
yeah.
look, we say We got to suspend belief, okay? But come on, Wes Craven, do a better job with
there
this.
There was definitely a pacing problem during that part of the.
I can't get past it, man.
Movie.
I can't get past it. You're telling me she took shotgun shells and got all the
open them up,
open them up.
That takes a second to do.
Fuck yeah, and drain them and popped a hole in the light bulb and poured them all in. And then I got a sledgehammer, and I rigged it to my door. I did all of these things and then still had a heartfelt conversation with my mom, and then had 10 minutes to spare.
Right. Well, I mean, look, the heartfelt conversation with the mom would have taken 10.
Dude, easily. Easily.
Yeah, there's a pacing problem, definitely, that part of the movie. That they took some liberties to do, Hollywood time speed, during that.
They could have somehow, I don't know, they could have easily fixed that.
And they didn't even do it. And again, I don't know if this is even the solution, but I mean, God, maybe experiment with montage.
Oh yeah,
I mean, right?
80s montage. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Just of showing all these various things occurring.
Definitely.
Montage that shit. Instead of making it real time.
Yes.
Yeah.
They could have fixed this by saying, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to get this guy." I don't know. I don't know how you solve it by saying, "Come back in 20 minutes." Hey, when I start yelling out the window and I start breaking shit, hey, why don't you come over and check, make sure I'm okay? I don't know, but...
Well, it could have been as simple fix as just don't give a time frame like that. Don't give some ridiculously unachievable time frame as 20 minutes.
Man,
why don't you say, I don't know, why don't you say, look, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get this guy and so... be looking across the street, and if you see anything, or come, I don't know, anything but
putting a time frame on it. Look, I've always had a problem with this, and rewatching this again, I can't get past it.
Yeah.
So again, it could have been easily fixed. That is a problem. Like I said, the two main things for me is the acting and that. There are probably a few other things I can think of, but then I'm nitpicking and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But those are the two things that are very glaring for me that I just can't get past.
Well,
I can't.
I mean, it's okay to nitpick some stuff. So, I mean, any other things that you can think of that
offhand? Then there was one other thing, but I can't think of it right now. Maybe it'll come to me. Anything that bothers you?
I think, definitely that booby trap scene. I mean, definitely the timing of that. I always looked past that. I think by the time I got to that part in the movie, I don't know. I think I just gave myself permission maybe to just go, okay, whatever. This is clearly, you couldn't do all that stuff in the time frame that was given. But
I'm thinking about it because I was thinking about it last night. Okay, so I know it's 1984, and nowadays in the 2020, with technology and everyone seems to know everything, but you live in let's just call it a regular suburban neighborhood in 1984.
Yeah.
It looks populated. I don't know how big of a town it is, but it's populated enough. You're telling me that none of these parents ever let it leak that, hey, by the way, we killed some guy. You know what I mean? You know how stories go. People call them urban legends at times. We know this wasn't an urban legend, but how did you never slip up? If there were a group of parents, you're telling me, getting drunk one night, I don't know, being out and about, it never came out. And so the kids never knew about Freddie.
Yeah, but it was clearly not every parent.
I understand that because there was enough parents.
No, I get that. Yeah. I get that. But it could also have been one of those one of those things that occurred in the past that people are embarrassed by and don't want to talk about it? Because, I mean, in 2020, we don't have a problem talking about these things. I mean, not everybody. Some people still have a problem talking about stuff like this, but by and large, people are a little more open to talking about stuff like that. Back then, not so much. And you understand too, is that, so think about this, think about the timing. Okay. He comes back to fuck with the parents' kids.
Yes.
And they had grown up, at least to end up being, end up being a teenager. They had, so there was a lot of time had gone by from the point where the parents had tracked him down in his boiler room and lit the place on fire. Sure. Right. Okay. So if we're going to assume that the movie is taking place in the time that the movie actually was released in the 80s, let's just assume that that's when the time frame of this thing is in the movie, then that would be the 70s that occurred in.
But they never talk about that. They
never
give a time frame.
I know they don't talk about it. I'm just giving an explanation as to why I don't necessarily think that's such a bad thing. Where I'm leading me to believe that to me, it makes sense why these parents would never have said anything, and why these kids don't necessarily know about it. Okay. Because back then, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother, we used to go over to my grandmother's all the time. Now, this was in the 70s, mid 70s.
Okay.
Okay. And there was a child molester lived right around the corner. We didn't know about it at the time, but that person got arrested. And I remember specifically going over to this, at least I didn't go into his house, but I was on his porch because I don't know, I guess for whatever reason he would, I don't know what these child molesters do. They're able to interface with kids, and kids get comfortable with them.
Manipulate them.
And I know of at least one or two kids that we all used to hang out with that got molested by him.
Oh, that's
you know what I mean? But it was always a hush hush thing. Nobody ever wanted to talk about it because it was an embarrassment, and it was a this and it was a that. So these parents, if we go down the timeline of this thing, they track that guy down, it would be in the 70s. And then enough time has gone by to where now those parents' kids are teenagers. What are they? 16, 15, 16?
15 to 17. Yeah. 15, 16. Yeah.
So enough time has gone by. I can absolutely see those parents, being tight-lipped and not talking about anything, because all they want to do is bury their head in the sand. They're not trying to have conversations. But it's not like you and I, we have heart-to-heart, open-ended discussions with our children, about the dangers of this world. And that's just not the way it was in the 70s.
True. True. I guess now that you're kind of,
So it's completely plausible that these parents would not say a word,
Okay. All right, then. I guess it doesn't bother me as much. I mean, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I thought maybe you'd have an opinion on it. So I guess I could see that, all right. I guess I'll let that one go. I'll let that one go, man. I'll let it go. Other than that, I mean, I was thinking about this, watching this movie last night, and I was like, there was one part where when Tina wakes up and, Freddy's throwing rocks at her window. Yeah. And I'm thinking, no way in hell I'm going outside. Well,
okay.
But then I think it's a dream, and sometimes you can't control what you're doing.
See, and there you go. That to me is one of the brilliant things about this particular story, is that, right? Isn't the one a cliche in horror movies trope, whatever, is this idea that you're in the woods, you're at a campsite, or wherever the hell you are, and shit starts to go down, and then you're going to be so stupid as to like, here, let's split up, or I'm going to go in and I saw some weird shadow, or I saw a person like, seems like a creep, but here, let me go ahead and walk over there and take a look, Well, this story and the whole backstory to Freddy Krueger and the whole thing makes that explainable to what you just said.
Yeah.
you can't control. I mean, often, you try, but you sometimes have no control what you're doing in a dream. So dreams are segmented and sometimes disjointed, and sometimes you go in and out of timelines on a dream. You know what I mean? And so absolutely, I can see going like, oh, what? Someone's like throwing a rock, and then in your dream, it shifts to, oh, my boyfriend must be out there.
Something.
Even though
he's in bed, or what is that? And it's like if it was, let's say it's quote unquote real, it's not a dream sequence. No way I'm checking that out.
No way.
I'm waking my boyfriend up.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Rod, I heard, look, dude, there's a crack in the window. Please come down. I'm scared.
Yeah.
Well, this is a dream. So it's all out the window.
Absolutely.
And so I'm like rewatching this last night through kind of different lens.
Everything's upside down.
It is. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, so it's definitely possible. It's a dream. I can't control what's going on in the dream. I know I'm scared, but I'm going to go and investigate.
Yep.
So I was, like for a second I was irritated, but I'm like, no, it's a dream.
Yeah.
It's a dream. So it's like,
And let's go ahead and just take this moment to talk about, let's expand on that entire scene, mm-hmm. which leads up to, in my opinion, one of the creepiest goddamn things I've ever seen on a movie.
The arms.
The freaking arms, man. And and we've talked about this off microphone or whatever, how they actually thought it was kind of stupid and cheesy, and they almost didn't put it in. And it is actually one of the creepiest things I've ever seen.
It is.
She comes down out of there, investigating the
little alley. It's like an alley.
It's an alley. Yeah. So it's basically the backyard has a gate that opens up into this back alley. It's almost where, because I believe the building that he was scraping his knives on.
Yeah.
I think it's there. It might be like either a shed of some kind, or possibly even the garage, like a detached garage.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Okay.
All right.
So that was like a driveway kind of,
Yeah. And I've seen places like this. It's not as common these days. Like they're not going to build something like, but older neighborhoods or subdivisions would have that.
Absolutely. They would. So yeah. And, and she goes out there and turns around, and he has got these accordion arm. What do they got to be? Each one's got to be 8 feet long.
Yes. And it's not even like perfectly straight.
No.
Because I think if it was perfectly straight, I don't think it'd be effective.
No.
It's like, wonky and it's weird and wonky.
Yes.
It's just. Yes, dude. This is, and then the music kicks in.
And then, oh my God. I don't know if it was Robert Englund himself or if they had some double. I'm going to assume it was Robert Englund. But right after that, when she starts to run and he's running after her, he's running like a creep. Like
I don't know what you. Yes, it's fucking scary.
Like a boogeyman.
Yes. Like every time I watch this scene, I feel like I'm in her shoes, and I'm like, I'm getting the F out of here. Dude, I am scared.
Yeah. She goes through the gate back to the house, runs past that tree, and then he jumps out of this impossibly thin. Well, I mean, the fact that the tree is thin is not impossible, but he jumps out from behind it impossibly. Like there's no way he could have been hidden.
No,
and that speaks more to the wacky dream sequences that occur in,
Yes.
Yeah.
And then hey Tina,
watch this.
And I'm like, and then I'm thinking to myself, in reality, I'm not watching this. I'm getting inside, but it's like, no, it's the dream.
Yeah, totally.
And that's why rewatching this, and again from a different lens perspective, I'm like, okay, I had a better appreciation because I've seen it so many times. But again, for us sitting down to do a podcast, I got to start looking for other stuff and analyze it in a different way.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it more by looking at it in that aspect. It's like, no, it's a dream. So, so the cutting off of the fingers and the stuff.
Yeah.
And this is where it's like, you look at him and he's so grimy and dirty and just, you're like, okay, yeah, I can see him being a child murderer and all of these,
So now I believe it was this scene. So after that, he jumps on top of her. They're at the front porch.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Back porch.
The back porch.
A porch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he jumps on top of her. They're struggling, whatever. Doesn't she grab his face and pull like his skin off?
Yes. And it's just like a skull, but not even like a weird skull.
It's what it seemed to me is just wet, nasty skin underneath what would be just burnt flesh.
Yeah, kind of like a combination of like part skull but part other. Yeah.
And then he has that maniacal cackling laugh after that shit, which would have I'd have been building cabins in my shorts. you know?
Yeah.
And then just nastiness. I would say that this scene right here is probably the gnarliest bloody scene in the entire thing.
That next to say the Johnny Depp scene, yes, but I mean they're different.
I'm going to talk with you about that one because this is actually a pet peeve.
But this is a again iconic. This is a great scene. Well, and I remember watching the documentary thinking, how did they film this? Because Rod's on the ground, she looks like she's on the ceiling twirling around, and it's like, okay, well, it's shot from a different perspective. But it's great. It's great, man. It's like she's sliced and it looks like she's going up the ceiling and she's moving, her blood's everywhere. And Rod thinks something's there, but he can't see anything. It's just, man.
Yeah, it is. And, so when my daughter Shaylee, when I first introduced her to this, the first time around, she got as far as that scene and couldn't do anymore. Yeah. Now, granted, it was like a number of years later that when she actually like embraced the horror movie thing. I don't know what I was thinking as a parent back then. I think I was probably, it was like, I wanted her to like horror movies too. Cause I do, but I think I had introduced it a little too soon. She wasn't quite ready. For that. And it took a couple of years. And then she came at me a couple of years later and said, hey, I want to revisit that Nightmare on Elm Street. And then at that time, a couple of years gone by, she was fine.
What's interesting is when we do this, they can go one or two ways.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to embrace it like Shaylee did.
Yeah.
Or not embrace it like Andrea did.
Right.
I showed Andrea a lot of horror movies, and she liked them, and she was scared of them. She won't watch horror movies with me anymore.
Yeah.
She won't. And I'm so bummed by it because I love her and I sitting down and watching movies and then we could talk about it and what was she feeling, but she won't watch them with me anymore. She said that she's scared of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, damn, did I do that?
So it could have been, I mean, like if we're going to assume that for a minute that maybe that was the reason, it could be that, maybe you just sort of hammered on a little bit longer than maybe you should. Maybe like the first moment you noticed she was really scared over it, you should have just pulled it back and let her come to you, because that's the difference. But that's what I did with Shaylee.
But I don't ever recall that happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm spitballing here.
Yeah, and so I don't think I ever introduced Elm Street to her. I do I remember a few, and I remember her watching and putting the blanket over her head, but I don't know, man. Just maybe over time, she just, and it's okay. It's cool. Maybe down the road, she gets out of that phase and then she can watch, can watch these scary flicks with her pops again. But,
I mean, this could just be moments in time.
It could be.
But yeah. So what were we talking about?
Well, we were talking
that scene.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like to me, that was a pretty gnarly scene. Now, like, in my opinion, it's the nastiest. And so now let's fast forward to that scene you just
with Johnny Depp.
Yeah. Okay. My issue with that scene, I'd say this is my moment. If your moment was, the booby trap stuff.
Yeah.
This was my moment.
Okay.
And it's a stupid thing. It's a small thing. And I just had to suspend my belief, but what the hell with the fire hydrant's worth of blood shooting out of that bed?
Yeah.
It was overkill to me. It was like, it looked like like the Shining scene when
the elevator.
Yes, when you've got this literal like torrent river of blood splashing up over everything, which
I get what you're saying. So I have, when watching this movie, going, yeah, we know there's not that much blood, but again, I think I just have accepted it over the years.
Well, I have too, but it doesn't.
But it doesn't mean it doesn't bother me. But it maybe just not as much as it bothered you.
It's stupid.
I know.
Okay, look, he's asleep. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. He's asleep. Okay. He's dreaming. So what we're witnessing is what is happening to him as he's dreaming. Okay. Freddy's hand comes up with the knife, sucks him into the bed. Okay. That's dream.
Yeah.
Okay. Not long after that, there's like a gurgle that you hear, and then all of a sudden, hot springs, comes shooting out of the bed. Mom opens the door to witness this torrent, this shooting of blood, which should be dream. If we're going to go off this idea of like hyper fantastical events that occur, that should be dream world, but she's witnessing this fire hydrant's worth of blood. And that to me is a discontinuity of story.
Okay. I haven't looked at it that way. I agree with you.
It's ridiculous.
Okay, because
if there was
no time.
Yeah, no
she
time
opens
whatsoever.
the door.
No time. And if she had simply walked in and there was just little sprays or whatever, or if she had come in, if all of that had occurred and then the dust settles and then she comes in because she heard something.
Or going to turn off his TV or something.
And came into just a blood splattered room, I would get behind that 100%.
Okay. No, I agree with you, because we could, if it's just a dream, whatever blood they want to throw into the mix, it's a dream.
Yes.
So we can bypass it. It's good. But as soon as she opens that door, because she's not part of the dream.
Correct. And we cannot argue. We can't, because I was just thinking this in my head too. I'm trying to explore alternatives or what ifs. When Nancy pulls like stuff out of her dream, we can't argue that because Johnny Depp had no opportunity. Well, he died. He had no opportunity to pull anything out of anything.
Nope.
So in that moment, that would have been a scenario where mom pulled something out of the dream, which did not occur.
Yeah.
So that scene does not work for me.
Yeah. Okay. So now I have an issue.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So now every time I watch it, I'm going to think about that now.
So that's why I come back to the scene where Tina is drug up the wall and slashed up like that. And just everything about that scene to me is the most intense scene in that entire.
Yeah, because that's true.
It's the most realistic. It's the most.
Oh no, they did a fantastic job with it. Effects for 84 was great.
However,
go ahead.
If we're gonna follow this a little bit, so those fantastical things occurring to Tina being drug up the wall and being slashed or whatever, why would, no, I'm going to go back. I'm going to say that I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I was just thinking her boyfriend witnessed it.
Yeah.
But what he witnessed beyond her being drug up the wall kind of a thing wasn't so fantastical. She got slashed in basically the midsection. So the amount of blood that happened there, I think, was appropriate.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. That to me, yes. I didn't feel like that was it was believable, I guess, is what I would say.
Right.
It was believable. The amount of blood, at least. I guess we could talk about Rod's death.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. He's okay. So again, nothing big deal, but this was funny to me. They were supposed to be 15, because I think there was like the news report online on the television that said, "Hey, 15-year-old Tina so and so was." I'm like, dude, she's 25. Amanda Weiss was 25, and it's like,
you think she looked 15?
No, hell no.
It's a hard one.
Even Nancy was 20, which leads me to one of the scenes where she's looking at herself like in the mirror or something. I think when
oh God, I look 25 or whatever.
Yeah, she goes, oh my God, I look 20. Well, she was 20 when she was making the movie. I thought that was kind of funny.
Well, now the Rod character though, he is actually an adult.
Oh yeah,
he's 18, I believe. In the movie, they actually talked about that.
Is he's 18?
Yeah,
okay,
because that's why he's
in jail. Okay.
Just regular ass jail.
And he looks like he's easily in his 20s, dude.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you made her 15. I mean, make her 17, or I don't know, man. Whatever.
But I mean, he was still in high school though, which is totally possible. I mean, my daughter's boyfriend, he's 18, but he's a senior.
Yeah, that's true. I think I was 18 when I graduated, so because of my birthday. But I mean, she has this. Okay, before we go to that, let's talk a little bit, because we're just going to be talking about scenes we like. She falls asleep in class. What the hell? First of all, why are you going to school? Your best friend has just been brutally murdered, supposedly.
Yeah.
I ain't going to school, man. I'm staying home. But okay, for the sake of the movie, we're going, I fall asleep in class. I see Tina. I love these scenes. The body bag and being dragged across, and then I'm going to go and investigate. And then I run into the hall monitor, which I'm sure in high school, especially back in the day, we all ran into the hall monitor. Yeah. But this I dig because it's Freddy, but it's not Freddy. It's this just high school student, but she's got the sweater, and she's got the little badge that says hall monitor, and I love the hey Nancy, no run, dude, because the wind blows through and there's leaves, and dude, out of all of the movies, and there are some cool things happening in these movies, especially special effects wise. Dude, I love this, man.
Yeah.
This is awesome, dude. Yep. I dig it, man.
I just love, there was a subtle thing too, with the body bag, and then nobody, you can't see him, picks up her feet, and then her hand flops out like that.
And then like a trail of stuff, blood and juice and whatever.
Juice.
I know, I'm just messing, but the fluids, the body, just being drugged across, and it goes back to the just gross dirtiness, the sliminess of this movie.
Yeah,
which is, I have to give it to Wes Craven. I mean, it's awesome, man, because again, we're talking about child murder and in a broiler room, and as you start to see these scenes with the broiler room and his little area where he probably brought them in a little cot, it all ties it together, and you can almost picture it, and it's uneasy.
Yeah.
And so definitely. That's the brilliance of the movie, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I love that scene. Anything you want to, the Rod scene is cool. It's whatever for me, it's, it's what I love the effect when Freddy's coming through the bars at the jail.
Yeah.
I wonder, you ever think about, I wonder how they shot that effect? 'Cause it looks freaking good. When he walks straight through, and it's I always wonder those things, nowadays.
It's just layers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's composite layers when in film,
Look, there are effects back in the 80s and they look bad.
Yeah.
They look bad. This looks good. And it's I don't know, man. I guess it's the difference between an okay filmmaker and a great filmmaker, right?
Or post-production.
Yeah.
Whoever did post-production.
But she has a dream that Rod's going to be, attacked by Freddy, and then they wake up and, hey, we got to get to the police department, and, and we see they see the tail end of Rod being hung. We know Freddy's wrapped the sheet around him. Again, I love little things like this, because I always, when I see cool effects, I wonder how they did it. How do they get the sheet to look like it's moving, and do they film it in reverse? How do they, right? Because he's clearly, the sheet is moving and it's going around his neck because he wakes up to this being done. And it's how do they film that effect? Do they do it in a reverse?
Probably.
Right?
Yeah.
They film it they film it in the reverse. I don't know, man.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if Donovan was here, you probably know. He probably, I don't know, something he learned in school. But just I don't know. These are cool scenes. I mean,
So I mean, that scene was
this one's okay. I mean,
it was okay. I didn't find it.
It's whatever, but I mean, it was
appropriate for what needed to occur.
Exactly.
I mean, more of him. Yeah. One scene that was pretty gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was whatever, but it was during that scene when she goes to the police station, or she's going to, isn't Tina in the body bag, Nancy.
Yes,
and then there's all the slugs and all that shit.
It almost looked like they like snakes that they threw gook on, and new bugs are coming out of her mouth again. Yeah, which fits with the whole feel of this movie.
It does. Yeah,
it's gross, and it's just You almost like after you watch it, you almost want to take a shower.
Yeah,
wash your hands or something. I don't know. For sure. So again, it's the brilliance of what Wes Craven did with this movie, because
he didn't do the other ones. Well, I mean,
no,
there was a point where he got back involved, but
not really. I think it was like he would write a script and he wouldn't direct. He did direct the New Nightmare. So he did direct that one, but not of the other ones. Not all those stupid, dumb sequels.
So all those other ones though, and that's kind of why they have a different vibe. It's a different director, different,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, they just ran in a wrong direction, in my opinion. But.
They did. They would look, this goes down to money. What Robert Shea would do is, look, man, I mean, as a whole, you're there to make money. What's the profitability of this? So am I going to, first of all, Wes Craven was doing other stuff, but let's say he wanted to do it. He's going to want more money.
Yeah.
Robert Shea wasn't willing to do that. So he would hire no-name, directors. Maybe they've done a movie or two, but nothing big.
Right.
And he'd pay them pennies.
Yeah.
And they'd direct this movie, and they'd make lots of, do these Elm Street movies for the most part. They made money.
Yeah. Yeah. I would argue they made the money they made because they're hardcore fans. Their base went into each movie with expectations that they're going to relive the glory of that first one.
That would be me.
And then they would get a little let down.
Absolutely.
Maybe not enough to completely abandon shit, but they'd be let down on the movie. Yeah. And then when the next one came out, they'd be like, oh, this is the one where they redeem themselves. And then you go to that one and you want to cling to that hope that they're going to get back to what your nostalgia,
You described me to a T.
Yeah.
Because I knew they were like after 4, because 4, I like 4. I don't love 4, but 4 I can tolerate. I can watch it because there's still some good acting and some good special effects.
Yeah.
His makeup still looks really good. After 5, why did I continue? Well, it's because I thought it was going to,
They was going to redeem themselves.
Yep. So I'm a sucker, man. They got a lot of my money.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the crap that I bought back in the day. Yeah. I don't have any of that stuff, but
I mean, it's like, for me, like it's the lore too. I mean, I love the lore of this. I mean, it's one of the most original ideas in horror.
It
really is.
Yeah. In 1984, and I was looking this up, it's a movie that I bet you've never seen. And it's a movie I wouldn't mind you and I doing at some point. It's called Dreamscape. Came out the same year, 1984. Dennis Quaid.
I might have actually seen
Max von
it.
Sydow.
It's not ringing a bell, but Dennis Quaid though.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid, Max von Sydow. I think Christopher Plummer is in it. It's a really good movie that a lot of people don't talk about. It seems to kind of like, I don't know, kind of like flies under the radar, but it's a really well-made movie. I enjoy it a lot, but came out same year, deals with dreams. Different story, of course, but I just thought that was interesting,
Yeah.
But a lot of movies do that. Like I think American Werewolf in London and The Howling came out around the same time, dealing with, werewolf transformations where they were almost like in competition with each other. I'm not saying that's the thing with Elm Street and Dreamscape, but
I think I've seen this.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have. I've forgotten all about this.
Yeah. I love this movie, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, so What else? What else? Oh, I guess little things. I do love the, I'm your boyfriend now with the phone. I think it's, because that you can look at it.
Phone. I used to have one of those phones.
Oh yeah,
well, I'm sure all of us.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
You could argue it's hokey, but I don't think it is. Like, it still looks pretty good.
Yeah,
and you could, again, some of these, one-liners that got more funny as the sequels went on. I mean, I'm your boyfriend now. I mean, and the tongue's coming out of the phone. I mean, you could almost argue that
I believe is where is the kernel of idea in the first one that all of these, films and all of these people who were decision makers latched onto.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
They latched onto that.
Because where else did it happen really in the movie? It didn't really happen with Tina.
No.
It didn't really happen with Rod or Glenn's, Glenn. No. It was really that.
Yeah. It were those little tiny scenes of,
Yeah. And they probably going, okay, well, what can we do here? And then it was like, oh, hey. And then they just expanded on it.
But going back, I couldn't stand the mom.
She was horrible, dude.
Well, I mean, so not to mention the fact she was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But I hated how ridiculously resistant she was. Right?
Not to want to believe it. And
even though knowing full and well that she and a bunch of parents, did what they did. You know what I mean? Yeah. And even after she takes her to that dream clinic, and she pulls the freaking hat out of her damn dream, even that doesn't make
you
the
just
mom
need sleep, honey.
It'll be better if you just sleep.
It's gonna kill me. But dude, I'm like, come on, man. Yeah, she was
the whole thing. And dude,
look, I can tolerate the drinking because maybe she became an alcoholic because of what they did to Freddy Krueger. Or Fred.
For sure.
At times they call him Fred. Other times they call him Freddy.
And she and the dad were divorced.
Yeah.
But the only somewhat redeemable moment for me with the mom is when the mom finally had at least the balls to take her down into their basement and tell her the whole story.
Did they have a boiler room or that was like a broiler down there, wasn't it? What would you consider that as? Some sort of, oh God, I can't think. Not a furnace.
Yeah, it was a furnace.
Was that a furnace?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Weird that there'd be a furnace in that house.
It was huge.
It's like in the 80s. I mean, there was central heat and air in the 80s.
Right? I mean,
I don't know. That's kind of weird. But it was in their basement, and whatever that thing was, we'll call it a furnace, But I mean, at least the mom had had the cojones then, the foresight, to have a little conversation with the daughter, explain what the parents did back then, and then to pull the knives out and, and show her, look, see mommy even,
Yeah.
So mommy made it better. So you don't have to worry. She was just in denial, I think. It was very traumatic, obviously, back, when Krueger was alive and was molested like dozens and dozens of these kids in the neighborhood, So it was a very traumatic thing. And, she's in denial and drunk half
alcoholics
the time.
Usually are, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
But at least she had that. She did.
I couldn't get over her acting. She was so bad. It's just, oh my God. It's just, it irritated me so much, man.
Oh, one other scene that was awesome. It was earlier on in the film. I think it's toward the beginning, when none of them had died yet. Before the Tina's flying up the wall and the whole thing, the crucifix flies off the wall, and then he stretches.
This is an awesome.
That's an awesome scene.
Which really, if you think about it, it's very similar to the ending when he's coming through the bed.
Yep.
Yes, these are great.
Yeah.
Like, however they did this, I'm going to assume it's some sort of something that stretches that way.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it would be, but
some kind of latex or some kind of stretchable material.
Dude, it's awesome.
And somebody was behind there
and they're just pushing
through.
Out. It's awesome.
And then in post, they put some ghostly sort of effects on it, Yeah. Yeah, dude. That
very. Rewatching this again last night, I'm like, it still looks really good.
It does.
Really good.
Yeah.
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 I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, as a whole, everything for the most part still stands up. I mean, look, there's the stuff that bothers me, sure. And, you as well. But it's still a great movie. I mean, it's a classic for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
The music's phenomenal. I don't know if we've talked about that, but music is great. I love the idea of a nursery. I'm a sucker for nursery rhymes in movies. I don't know if they were the first to do a nursery rhyme, but the girls jump roping and this weird filter on it. And dude,
it's got that kind of dream-like filter.
Yeah.
The music, I think on last week's episode, I had brought that up about the Entity.
Yeah.
The music on the Entity, and this one.
Yep.
Yeah. And that the guy who did the music did that. He was the same guy who did both.
Yeah.
Yeah. The music on this movie is so awesome.
It really is, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, it sets the tone. It's very fitting for the movie. Yeah, it's great, man. I mean, like I said, there's always these elements in that make a movie hold up and become a classic, and music's always a big part. And
it sets the tone.
It really does, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, is there anything else, like, do we want to talk about, like, that we haven't talked about, like anything that jumps out at you? Okay, let's get to the end. So let's do this two ways. When the mom's pulled through the door, it's kind of
that's cheesy.
It's cheesy for me. It doesn't work. So we don't need to like harp on that. Okay, so the car, Glenn pulls up with her friends in the car and everything's fine. We're all good now. Is this a dream? Is this not a dream? We're not sure. And then, the car goes haywire. The top comes over. It's basically the colors of Freddy's sweater. Is it real? Is it not real? What are your thoughts on that? Because I mean, look, let's throw out the fact that we've had a million sequels. What the F, dude? Is it real?
Yeah. That's a hard one to answer. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I almost feel like so what we know of, when we watched that, what was that?
The documentary Never Sleep Again or something like that. Yeah.
So what we know was that the ending of that movie turned out to be not exactly what Wes Craven was going for. Like in his mind, this was a one and done, obviously, that other guy,
Robert Shea. Yeah.
Robert Shea, horrible name.
Shea. Yeah.
Yeah. He had other things in mind.
Yeah.
So, he forced sort of that ending that allowed for the possibility of a sequel. So I almost, part of me feel like that ending they didn't do a good, it doesn't make sense because it was tacked on to something that shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
I really, truly believe the ending was supposed to be, that they open up the door. It's bright. It's like the morning. It was a dream.
Yeah.
And
friends come and we drive off and we're good.
And that's it. Done. But what happens, is the addition.
Yeah.
And because it was tacked on, it's like, no, I insist because I want to make more of these things. It doesn't quite make sense. It no longer, because what we're left with then is, well, okay. So, all right. So everybody that we just saw die is now back alive. Okay. They jump in the car. Now all of a sudden, the top comes down. It's Kruger's sweater.
Yeah.
Mom gets pulled through the door, impossibly small. So you could interpret that to mean that the whole thing was a dream. Because that's a fantastical thing to occur.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, right? Isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was done in a very dreamlike state, all bright, and everything seems sort of out of focus and kind of brighter than things should be.
Kind of like a different lens to it or some weird flare.
Right. So, I mean, you could interpret that to mean like, well, the whole darn thing was a dream.
Yeah.
Or is it just that last little piece all of a sudden they get sucked back in, but then what was the mechanism?
So they die all over again? I mean, yeah.
Right. What happened to them?
Yeah. I don't
do we make an assumption that just Freddy got him in the end and that he just killed them all over again? Every single damn one of them all over again, including the mom all over again, because they don't certainly address that. Oh, actually they do. Nancy comes back in.
Well, she comes back in part 3.
Exactly. So then you're led to. So then where's the continuity there?
Well, that's okay. So the issue, yeah, and that's the thing with part 3. Well, we don't need to get into part 3, but I always had an issue with that. I don't want to get into that. That's a whole nother discussion.
So we don't want to get all into that, but because we're not discussing part 3. However, to answer that question that you just posed, it's hard. It's hard because obviously in a sequel, Nancy comes back.
Yeah.
Which means that she didn't die.
No, she didn't.
But at the end of this one, it makes it appear as though that's it. She's done.
So then I guess we could, if we are supposed to, okay, how do I say this? So we throw out number 2 and we go from 1 to 3 and we have Nancy in both. We are to assume that it was just a dream because she's back. She's not dead. So, but she has, sleeping disorder and all these other things. And her mom and her friends died because in part 3, she says that.
Right.
So then the very, very end is a dream, but prior to that, it wasn't a dream.
See, this is the problem with the very ending of this movie. It wasn't set up correctly to work.
Yeah.
But obviously because of politics.
Sure. Yeah.
Movie politics.
Money.
So it wasn't set up correctly. It wasn't worked out correctly. It opened up too many questions. And it's okay to end a movie with a question or two. There's nothing wrong with that. Plenty of movies do it.
Yeah.
But this was tacked on as a massive afterthought and not really thought through. And because of that, you're left with too many questions.
Yeah. And I bet you this definitely was not Wes Craven's intent. His arm was probably twisted on this.
Definitely.
And my guess, and I'd have to watch, I don't know, maybe some interviews or something with him. And my guess is he probably would have wanted to end it when Freddy basically kind of vanishes. Like, I don't give you any more power.
Yep.
And you're now gone.
Yep.
And that would have been Wes Craven's ending.
Absolutely.
Her friend still would have been dead and mom would have been dead, but you no longer have my power and I'm done with you.
Exactly. And then she moves on. Maybe she moves in with dad.
Sure.
Or whatever
something.
it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that would have been that.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Cool.
Otherwise, man, iconic movie and it transformed in my opinion, a major influence on horror.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah. I mean, for sure. Yeah. Cool. Wow, shit, man. Anything else? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think we kind of hit. I think we hit most everything. I think.
Yeah, it's good.
So yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been for 30 years. But go check it out. I mean, you'll enjoy it. It is a good movie. Minus some of the gripes we have, but again, like I said, we could do that with every friggin' movie out there.
Yeah, by and large, I mean, those things aside.
Yeah.
Still one of the most awesome horror movies ever to be filmed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So check it out if you haven't. I think that'll do it for us. Man, thanks again for coming out.
Yep.
Everyone, I don't know, man, be safe out there. And,
we're almost at the end of 2020. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. We're almost
not that 2021 isn't necessarily
I think by the time this comes out, it'll probably be 2021 because we record these ahead of time. So Darren here can, work his magic in the editing room and putting together some cool original music. Hopefully you guys are enjoying that. But when you probably listen to this might be mid-January or so, or maybe end January. So hopefully 2021 has started out really good for you.
Oh, hopefully we're off to a good start.
And it continues, So anyways, everyone take care. Thanks again for listening. Make sure you tell everyone about our Ear for Fear podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ear for Fear. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There you can keep up to date on news, events, and episodes. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you come back and get an earful.